Judy Garland was the ultimate tragic icon of the golden age. A voice that could crack the heart of a nation and a soul that was slowly dismantled by the very industry that worshipped her. For decades, the world has whispered about the Garland Curse, the inherited trauma, and the dark secrets hidden behind the sequins. But now, at the age of 77, the enigmatic Liza Minnelli has finally decided to step out of the silence. She is ready to dismantle the tabloid myths and reveal the intimate, harrowing, and ultimately beautiful truth about her mother, Judy Garland. This is not just a story of fame. It is a profound investigation into a bloodline defined by spectacular talent and devastating pain. To understand the woman Liza has become, we must first descend into the gilded cage of old Hollywood, where a child of MGM was forged in the fire of public expectation and private heartbreak. Liza Minnelli was born on March 12, 1946, and from the moment she took her first breath, she was the property of show business. Her lineage was nothing short of royal. Her mother was the world's most beloved entertainer, and her father, Vincente Minnelli, was the visionary director who painted the silver screen with the colors of dreams. Growing up on the MGM lot wasn't a childhood, it was an apprenticeship in the art of the illusion. While other children played in parks, Liza watched as entire worlds were constructed and deconstructed on sound stages. She saw her mother transform from a tired, trembling woman in a dressing room into a radiant, untouchable star the moment the cameras began to roll. Her first taste of the limelight came at a mere 2.5 years old, appearing in the film In the Good Old Summertime. It was a fleeting moment, but the spark was ignited. Liza didn't just want to be in the world of performance. She needed it. It was the only language she knew. However, being the daughter of Judy Garland was a double-edged sword that could cut to the bone. Every time Liza sang a note or danced a step, the world looked for the ghost of Judy. The comparisons were immediate and often cruel. But Liza possessed a defiant spark, a relentless drive to be seen as an individual, even as she navigated the intoxicating and dangerous atmosphere of her mother's orbit. By the age of 19, Liza had done the unthinkable. She had carved out a space of her own. Her Broadway debut in Flora the Red Menace was an explosion of raw energy and idiosyncratic style. She didn't try to mimic the velvet tones of her mother. Instead, she leaned into a brassy, vulnerable, and electric persona that was entirely hers. When she became the youngest actress to win a Tony Award, Judy was in the audience screaming with a pride that was both beautiful and overwhelming. "Can you believe that's Liza up there? We did that," Judy shouted to the rafters, but the "we" was a complicated term. While Judy was her daughter's biggest cheerleader, she was also the source of an immense inherited burden. To establish herself, Liza had to seek out mentors like the legendary Charles Aznavour, who taught her how to use her unique staccato energy to tell a story that wasn't just a sequel to the Garland legend. She experimented with genres, she pushed the boundaries of the stage, and she slowly, painfully assembled the identity of Liza Minnelli, the superstar. Yet even as she joined the elite ranks of the EGOT winners, earning the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, the shadows of the past were never far behind. The path to stardom is often paved with the very things that eventually destroy the person walking it. For both Judy and Liza, the entertainment industry was a beautiful monster that demanded total sacrifice. Judy Garland's struggles with substance abuse are perhaps the most famous tragedy in Hollywood history. She was a victim of a studio system that viewed its stars as disposable assets. From the time she was a young girl, MGM doctors placed her on a regimen of pep pills to keep her working 18-hour days and downers to help her sleep. They starved her to keep her thin and criticized her looks until her self-esteem was a pile of ash. This was the foundation upon which Judy's life was built, a chemical dependency that began in childhood and spiraled into a lifelong battle with barbiturates and alcohol. Liza witnessed the terrifying reality of this addiction firsthand. She saw the highs, the lows, and the desperate moments when the woman who sang the trolley song couldn't even stand. And tragically, the cycle of addiction did not stop with the mother. As Liza ascended into the drug-fueled decadence of the 1970 Psalm New York nightclub scene, she found herself reaching for the same chemical escapes. She became a fixture at Studio 54, dancing through a haze of alcohol and prescription pills, a mirror image of the woman she had watched unravel years before. The insecurities that plagued Judy, the constant feeling of being ugly or not enough, despite the adoration of millions, were passed down like a dark heirloom to Liza. Both women were relentlessly critiqued by the press, their faces and bodies dissected by a public that demanded perfection. Judy was the ugly duckling of MGM, and Liza was often told she didn't possess the conventional beauty of a Hollywood leading lady. But they turned these perceived flaws into their greatest weapons. They redefined what it meant to be a star, proving that authenticity, raw emotion, and a certain beautiful messiness could connect with an audience more deeply than a flawless facade ever could. Their struggles added a layer of profound resonance to their work. When Judy sang of heartbreak, the world knew she had lived it. When Liza sang about starting over in New York, the world knew she was fighting for her own survival. These were not just performances. They were public exorcisms of private pain. The domestic lives of these two icons were equally tumultuous, often defined by what historians call lavender marriages. Judy Garland was married 5 times, and at least 2 of her husbands, including Liza's father, Vincente Minnelli, were known to be gay or bisexual, living in an era when such truths had to be buried under layers of Hollywood artifice. Liza seemed destined to repeat this pattern, marrying 4 times, with several of her spouses also rumored to be part of that same hidden world. These relationships were often complex, filled with a deep artistic connection, but marred by the impossibility of living an authentic life in the spotlight. The public watched as these marriages crumbled, feeding the narrative that neither woman could ever truly find the peace and stability they so desperately craved. The tragedy of Judy's final years, her voice failing, her finances in ruin, and her accidental overdose at age 47 sent shockwaves through the world and left a permanent scar on the heart of her eldest daughter. Liza was left to pick up the pieces of a legacy that was as heavy as lead and as fragile as glass. In the early 1980s, facing her own mortality, Liza made the brave decision to enter the Betty Ford Clinic. It was a turning point that her mother never got to experience. She chose to break the cycle, to fight for the sobriety that had eluded Judy, and to reclaim her life from the shadows of the past. Her recovery was a testament to the resilience that she had inherited from both of her parents. But as she moved forward, she remained the primary custodian of the Judy Garland legend. And this is where the mystery of their bond truly deepens. For 50 years, Liza has been the fierce protector of her mother's memory. She has often expressed her quiet fury at portrayals of Judy that focus solely on the tragic addict. To Liza, her mother was not a victim. She was a genius. She remembers a woman who was wickedly funny, exceptionally intelligent, and deeply, fiercely loving. She wasn't just a sad woman in a sequined dress, Liza has insisted. She was the smartest person in the room. Liza's reflections on Judy provide a window into a relationship that was as intimate as it was complicated. She speaks of Judy not as a star, but as a mother who would try to protect her children even as her own world was collapsing. When asked what her favorite thing about her mother was, Liza's answer is always simple: everything. This unconditional love is the anchor that has kept Liza steady through her own storms. She admits that she still hears her mother's voice in moments of doubt, a ghostly encouragement to ignore the critics and just keep going. She feels Judy's presence on every stage she walks onto, a silent partner in every standing ovation. But there is also the pain of the what ifs. What if the studio hadn't given her those first pills? What if the world had seen the woman instead of the icon? Liza's desire to protect Judy's legacy is a way of giving her mother the peace in death that she never found in life. The legacy of Judy Garland, born Frances Ethel Gum, is a monumental pillar of the entertainment world. She was the pioneer of the confessional style of performing, a woman who laid her soul bare for her audience long before it was fashionable to do so. Her influence can be seen in every powerhouse vocalist and every vulnerable actor who has followed her. She was a symbol of resilience for the marginalized, particularly the LGBTQ+ community, who saw their own struggles reflected in her survival and her sorrow. And through Liza, that legacy continues to breathe and evolve. Liza didn't just inherit her mother's talent, she inherited her courage. By stepping out of the silence at 77, Liza is making a final powerful statement about the nature of fame, family, and the power of the human spirit. She is showing the world that while you can be born into a tragedy, you don't have to die in one. As we look at the lives of Judy and Liza, we see a tapestry woven with threads of gold and thorns. We see the magic of The Wizard of Oz and the gritty reality of the rehab clinic. We see the triumph of the Oscar and the loneliness of the five-star hotel room. But mostly, we see a mother and daughter who loved each other through the unimaginable. The bond between them is a reminder that even in the harshest glare of the Hollywood spotlight, the most important performance is the one that happens when the cameras are off the simple, quiet act of being a family. Judy Garland was more than just a legend. She was a woman who lived, laughed, and suffered, and her greatest accomplishment wasn't a film or a song. It was the daughter who stood by her and who continues to sing her praises to this day. Liza's decision to speak now is a gift to those who have always seen the darkness but searched for the light. She's confirming that the rumors were true, the struggles were real, the pain was deep. But she is also adding the missing piece of the puzzle, the joy. She wants the world to know that the rainbow wasn't a lie. It was just harder to find than the movies suggested. Her reflections paint a picture of a Judy Garland who was a smart, funny, loving, vivacious woman, a far cry from the broken figure often seen in biopics. Liza is reclaiming the narrative, ensuring that when we think of Judy, we think of the laughter in her eyes as much as the tears in her voice. This is the truth behind the royal mystery of Hollywood's most famous family. It is a story of survival, a story of an unbreakable bond, and a story of two women who changed the world simply by being themselves. The echoes of Over the Rainbow will never truly fade, but thanks to Liza, they are joined by a new harmony, a harmony of understanding and forgiveness. The Garland Minnelli story is a masterclass in the complexity of the human heart. It teaches us that fame is a hollow prize if it comes at the cost of one's soul, but it also shows us that even a soul that has been shattered can be mended with love and time. Liza Minnelli, the youngest, Tony winner, the EGOT legend and the daughter of a goddess, stands before us as a victor. She has survived the curse, she has honored the ghost, and she has found her own voice in a world that tried to make her a footnote. As she reflects on her mother's remarkable legacy, she does so with the wisdom that only 77 years of living in the light and the dark can provide. So as we revisit the classics, the yellow brick roads and the trolleys and the cabarets, let us remember the women behind the magic. Let us honor the struggle and celebrate the resilience. Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli are more than just names on a screen. They are the heart and soul of the entertainment world, a reminder that the most beautiful things often come from the most difficult places. Their legacy is an anthem of hope, a promise that no matter how far you fall, there's always a way to rise again. And as Liza continues to share her story, she ensures that the light of the rainbow will continue to shine on illuminating the path for every dreamer who dares to follow in their footsteps. The silence is broken, the truth is revealed, and the legend is finally beautifully complete. This deep dive into the lives of Judy and Liza reminds us that every icon is a human being first. Behind the gossip and the headlines were two women who just wanted to be loved. Judy's 5 marriages and Liza's 4 were not signs of failure, but signs of a relentless hope, a search for the connection that was often missing in their professional lives. The lavender marriages were a product of their time, a compromise made by people who wanted to live their dreams while hiding their truths. But in the end, the truth always finds a way out. Liza's openness about her own recovery and her mother's battles is a radical act of honesty that strips away the artifice of the old Hollywood era. It allows us to see Judy not as a caricature, but as a pioneer who paved the way for modern discussions about mental health and addiction. The 2019 film Judy, which won an Oscar for its portrayal of Garland's final days, was a point of contention for Liza. She famously refused to watch it, stating that she didn't need to see a movie about her mother's life when she had lived it. This protective stance is the hallmark of Liza's later years. She knows the nuances that a screenplay can never capture: the specific way her mother laughed, the private jokes they shared, and the quiet moments of peace that never made the tabloids. For Liza, the real Judy Garland isn't found in a movie. She's found in the memories of a daughter who was there for it all. And by sharing those memories now, she is giving her mother the ultimate gift, the right to be remembered on her own terms. As we conclude this journey into the heart of a Hollywood dynasty, we are left with a profound sense of awe. The resilience of Liza Minnelli is a miracle in itself. She has faced the same demons that took her mother, and she has emerged not just as a survivor, but as a legend in her own right. She has honored the past without being a slave to it. She has worn the sequins and the tiaras, but she has also worn the scars of her history with pride. The story of Judy and Liza is the quintessential Hollywood epic, a story of blood and stardust, of tragedy and triumph. It is a story that will continue to captivate us for as long as there are people who dream of the world over the rainbow. And as the final character of this tribute is written, let us remember that the greatest legacy a mother can leave her child is the strength to find her own way home. Judy Garland did that for Liza, and Liza in turn has done it for the world. The rainbow is still there, and because of these two extraordinary women, it's a little brighter than it was before. The fans who continue to flock to screenings of The Wizard of Oz or listen to Liza with a Z are part of a global family that recognizes the unique power of these two women. They understand that what Judy and Liza gave the world was more than entertainment. It was a piece of themselves. Every performance was a high-wire act, a daring display of emotional honesty that left the audience breathless. That kind of talent is rare, but the kind of resilience shown by Liza Minnelli is even rarer. She has outlived the tragedies, she has outshone the critics, and she has proven that a daughter can carry her mother's crown without being crushed by its weight. The legacy is secure, the silence is over, and the rainbow remains the ultimate symbol of their enduring electric spirits. In the end, the story of Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli is a reminder that the brightest stars often burn the fastest, but their light can travel across generations. Judy burned with a fierce, unstable flame, while Liza has learned how to tend her fire, making it last through the decades. Together, they are a constellation that will forever define the sky over Hollywood. They are the mothers and daughters of the Dream Factory, the women who showed us that even in the dark, you can still find the music. And as Liza reflects on it all at 77, we can almost hear her mother's voice whispering from the wings, "We did it, Liza. We really did it." The journey is complete, the secrets are shared, and the bond between mother and daughter remains the one thing that not even time or fame or tragedy could ever break.